So Dazzler's Boat Channel 108, the only channel you need to watch, the only channel you see. Except the channels you watch and other channels I see, not here to impress, only here to express. It is June the 19th, 2025. It'll soon be Christmas 2033, it'll soon be Easter 2040, when the Vapor Cannon returns. And are we on the brink of Armageddon? I know it's a big psyop, this Iran-Iraq thing, you know, but it seems like it's a stage show to keep the masses in a state of fear. But I'm looking at people, you know, and all the NPC population, the peasants, they're just doing their thing, aren't they, you know, as usual. They haven't got a scoop of what's really going on. They don't question their existence in this realm. They don't question the inner mechanisations of the deep state. I mean, look up there, you've got the old chemtrails. All those clouds up there are artificially manufactured chemtrails. If it wasn't for the chemtrails, we'd be able to see the sun tonight setting, but it's hidden behind chemtrail cloud. All the old piers here. All this was military docks before. Talking about this before, and had the belly of the British Empire. This was, still is, over there. The Canary Wharf financial centre, the second square mile. But yeah. I was going that, we're taking off from that way tonight. Yeah, things are going, the people just carry on. And you've got to, haven't you? You can't let the fear get away, but it's there. It's always like nagging at the back, isn't it? It's on the TV, it's on the YouTube, it's on the newspaper headlines, all online and on social media and all types of media. The feelings of World War III narrative, you know. But what the mainstreamers are telling us is Iran's a threat again, you know. It's Iraq with weapons of mass destruction all over again. Another big lie. I mean, the Iranian regime is a tough regime. Islamic extremist regime. It has been since 1979. I've heard first-hand accounts of people, from Iranians actually. I've met Iranians and they've told me how shit it is in Iran with the regime over there, you know. When the Islamic Revolution took place in 1979, it's like a guy I worked with actually was Iranian. He told me that it was like someone had taken his country away. His country had been invaded. They'd taken the country away, you know. They had so much freedoms. It was like a Western democratic country before, although the Shah of Iran was allegedly a dictator and he was exploiting the people. But like Saddam Hussein, he just let people get on with their life, you know. He might have been a despot, he might have been this, that and the other, but I think people had a better life in Iran before. But a certain class of people in Iran didn't like the Shah and they kicked him out, like a lot of countries. And it was a coup, a deep state tiny hat coup, you know. The Shah was put there by the tiny hats, and the Ayatollah Khomeini was put there by the tiny hats too. Different control systems by the same people. When the Philippines back in the 1990s, when Marcos was kicked out of power, I mean, he was one of them Marmite characters. People loved him and people hated him. I think the Shah was like that too. People loved him, people hated him. But they got him out, and it was all done by outside influences. Mossad, more than likely. It served its purpose. It served its purpose 26 years in Iran, and he had to go. I think he went into exile. I'm not sure where he went. I think he came to live in England. I'm not sure, but I think he came to live in the UK. I'm not sure now. They didn't kill him, but he got exiled. He got booted out. Like Marcos got booted out too, out of the Philippines in the 1990s. But I think they bumped him off, I think, before that. I think while he was, during his exile, he got bumped off. I might be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, anyone, if they're listening to this. But they wanted, but his body, they just returned his body to the Philippines back in 2017 or 2018. Because all the regimes after Marcos, they didn't want his body back.
But now it's £1,000.
They didn't want his body back, you know. But when Duterte was in power, our man Duterte, I spoke about him before, he brought his body back. And he was another one. Another Marmite character. People loved him, people hated him, but he was a bit of a dodgy character. It turns out that he probably or possibly was a drug cartel himself, doing away all these different dictators and country leaders, you know. There's a lot more to it than meets the eye. Duterte, the mainstream media slagged Duterte off, and he was demonised. But a lot of the people in the Philippines loved him, you know. But a lot of people also hated him. They were divided. They were divided on it. I mean, places like the Philippines, if you support a particular political party, and somebody else supports a different political party, they kill you over it, you know. It's like that, and that's the sort of countries. I mean, not Philippines, India's like that too. Countries in South America, you know, a lot of the third world countries are like that. When they have these elections going on, people kill each other over this. This is the fucking farce of democracy, isn't it? You know, mob rule. It is mob rule, and it shows its ugly. It really does show its ugly face in these countries, third world countries and whatnot. So I'm bloody busy down here tonight. So you got the Shah of Iran, he got kicked out. Oh, your Ayatollah came in, and they've had a whole succession of Ayatollahs since then, haven't they? They still call him Khomeini. That's the title. I think it's the title now, isn't it? Khomeini. I also, when I was in India years ago, staying in the temple. In the Vaishnav temple, there was some Vaishnav practitioners from Iran, and they came to stay in the temple, and I travelled on a train with them from Puri to Calcutta, and I was chatting to them, had a quite in-depth conversation with these people, and they said if they openly practice Vaishnav culture in Iran, they get arrested, imprisoned or killed. This was back in the 1990s, this. They said they had to do it in secret. They would do it. My hat's off to the people like that who practice their faith and their practice whatever their belief system in a country that's completely opposed to it. Like Russia, for example, in the Soviet Union. Same thing there. They were killing members of the Hare Krishna movement. There was one disciple of Srila Prabhupada in the 1970s. Just one man became a disciple in the 1970s in Soviet Union, Russia. And he was practicing Krishna consciousness in Moscow as discreetly as he possibly could. Anyway, they found out about him, he got arrested. He spent a large part of his time in psychiatric hospitals or prisons, and they just drugged him up, you know. I think he spent about 20 years in mental hospitals. Simply because he was practicing a religion from India. mess them up good and proper. I actually met that guy too. I met him in India as well. He was like a hippie when I met him. He had dreadlocks and he looked a bit spaced out and messed up. He was okay. He was a nice guy, man. He was such a nice guy, but I could understand he'd been so messed up, man. Spending so much time in mental hospitals, mental institutions. I met quite a few interesting people in my time. So I met him. He's passed away a few years ago now. Around that same time as the Iranians, who also were under duress, practicing Krishna consciousness, Vaishnavism. And so Iran's not exactly a utopia, but it doesn't justify Israel bombing the shit out of them. But bottom line is, this whole so-called Islamic Republic is ultimately run by tiny hats. There's more tiny hats in Iran than there is in Israel. There's a massive. I've yet to learn more about this exarchy of Jews that are operating in Iran. I've yet to learn more about this. And the Saudi Arabia, the Saudis, of course, are total out and out crypto kikes. Also, I was watching Jason Bashir video not too long ago. He was talking about the Normans. Even the Normans back 1,000 years ago, who were originally Vikings, Norsemen, mix of Norsemen and Franks. The Jews were even pulling their strings too, you know. They were quite powerful, the Normans. They conquered, William the Conqueror conquered England and Wales, and Ireland as well, parts of Ireland. Also the Normans conquered Sicily, parts of North Africa, and even did crusades in Jerusalem too. They were the first people to do the crusades, the Normans. And this is all pushed by the Jews. Conversely, the Saracens and the Moors were also being pushed by the Jews too. And the Turks, the Ottomans, all pushed by being pulled by the same tiny hats, playing everyone against each other, divide and conquer. You know, they've been doing it for thousands of years, hundreds of years. You know, and now we've got this situation. Armageddon. It's what they want. Want to destroy the Goy and the destroyers. They just want to use them as slaves. Apart from that, everything's tickety-boo, really. Peace, bless. Peace, bless.